Hey YouTube, it's actually been cold enough out here to justify, man, it's getting a little warm. Terrible picture here, but you know, this is the first signs of the harvest moon behind me. So all day long I've been trying to get updates on the Hamas deadline, and here's what I saw from Trump most recently.
Deadline for Hamas to release the hostages.
We did it very quickly. We had some very good meetings. The countries of the world, a lot of the countries surrounding Israel, frankly, Muslim, Arab, and many others have had great meetings with Hamas, and it looks like it's working. So we'll wait for a little while, see how it all turns out.
When will the administration...
So this is a Truth Social post from earlier today, and basically it's the same thing you heard in the video. You go about halfway down. He says these talks have been very successful and proceeding rapidly. The technical teams will meet again Monday in Egypt to work through and clarify the final details. It's just interesting. They've got quite the cliffhanger set up. You know, I do believe in the Julian calendar interpretation that's been brought up by Bro Scott and, you know, verified by other people, saying that the Bible actually talks about the Feast of Trumpets being on the full moon and not the new moon. There's a whole lot of background on that. If you're not caught up on it, it's kind of late. But they've got this thing right up, you know, to the last minute. So I think it'll take some talks in Egypt tomorrow to see where they go with it. You know, Trump's chosen to push the deadline instead of push the button on the bombs. So I'm not one to be anxious, but I've been anxious today, you know, just seeing if this thing is going to pan out or not. Because I do believe that this is the covenant with many. And there's a lot of people that, you know, are just out here living life and don't see anything coming. The thing that I find interesting about this picture is that Saturn is just a little bit down to the right. This picture doesn't do it much justice because, you know, it's just a camera phone. But here's what it looks like in Stellarium. The moon is very full and Saturn is just to the lower right of it. And, you know, I know the Simpsons isn't prophecy, but it's funny when Homer gets it wrong the first time and then he changes his calculation by 13. He comes back, and when he gets raptured, Saturn is the first thing he sees while he's going up. So it's crazy that we've got the peace talks, Trump talking about eternal peace, solving the Middle East problem that's been thousands of years old, and yet on the other side we've got World War III about to open up with Russia. You know, NATO and Ukraine are provoking Russia, and people are shooting down jets and drones, and everybody's trying to provoke everybody else. But meanwhile, we're supposed to have this peace and safety on the other side. How do you have such a dichotomy? You know, this eternal peace, and yet pushing for world war on the other side. Wow, you gotta see this right here. I literally just said that thing about the Simpsons, and for some reason, I think I got a notification. I opened up this message from somebody that I know, and they sent me the thing while I'm talking about it. So the thing about the Simpsons, obviously it's not prophecy, but they got the story so correct. He thought that he had the calculation, and then he told everybody, and everybody was standing there waiting for it to happen, and then nothing happens. So then everybody starts mocking him, making fun of him. Marge says, you know, "Oh, Homer, you couldn't predict 6 o'clock at 5:30. Sorry, that's my Marge voice. But, you know, so then he goes back, he changes his calculation to a 13. You see how it's underlined? He changed, because 13 days is what the adjustment was going from September 23rd to, you know, October 6th and 7th. And then, you know, everybody was mocking him, so he went out to the place by himself, and then he gets raptured at the time that he thought, and he sees Saturn on the way up. And, you know, it is a little bit of a mockery of the whole thing. But then they got the narrative of it so close. So I have a little bit of a rapture confirmation that I'll tell you about before I get out of here. And people have been real quiet about this since September 23rd, 24th. Seemed to be a failure, but you know, this confirmation, it was in place before Joshua ever made a video, before anybody ever talked about this date, before, you know, all this prophecy was opening up and playing out before our eyes. So back in 2023, I have to be kind of vague about this because it's, you know, I've been private about it. It's kind of too personal, you know. But I have a vehicle, and I put a 6 and a 7 on it. So back in 23, I put a 6 and a 7 on one of my vehicles, and it's still there to this day. You know, maybe when we get there, I'll have to explain it to you. But for right now, I've had a 6-7 looking at me for, I don't know, nearly 2 years. And at first, I thought it was just related to my height, because if you don't know, I'm 6'7", and I put that on there because of that. You know, so it blows my mind that before I even knew this thing was something to consider or something to watch for, I already had it on one of my vehicles. So, you know, take it or leave it. We'll find out real soon if any of this stuff is actually truth or fabrication. And if the time passes, then, you know, there's some accounting that needs to be done, I suppose. But, you know, clearly we see all the prophecies going on. On one side, they're trying to do peace and safety, and on the other side, they're trying to do World War III. We got the aliens and the mark of the beast and everything else. I mean, as far as it coming like a thief, the whole world out here doesn't see it. You know, nobody's acting like anything's ever going to be different. So that's what I'll leave you with. And, you know, I'll talk to you tomorrow when we see what the news produces regarding Egypt. You know, they're having the peace talks in Egypt. And Joshua said the Exodus instead of the rapture. So if this thing comes together in Egypt, we're talking about an Exodus. That's all I got. Jesus is Lord, and whether we're right about a date or whether we're wrong, Jesus is still Lord, and Jesus is still coming. Just an interesting little last thought here. Trump said Hamas must move quickly or all bets will be off. He said, "I will not tolerate delay." And what we've found ourselves in is a delay. We've talked about the parable of the bridegroom, the 10 virgins, a lot of times, and it says that he tarried. Just a few verses forward in the previous chapter, Matthew 24, and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and he shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of that servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour when he is not aware, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Don't mock the watchers.